If you want to be stronger, leaner, faster, more competitive than everybody else and win more than everyone that you know, you must master your testosterone negative feedback cycle. How come some men have higher levels of testosterone, higher baselines, and they seem to be more competitive and actually be more competent, be able to win more, be able to be stronger, be bigger, be more aesthetic? How come there's some men that have this and others who don't? Well, those men, they have their genetics, they can have that, but to the other men, they need to work on their testosterone negative feedback loop. Now, what does that really mean? It means optimizing for the system in your body that actually influences your testosterone so that you can have high levels of testosterone when you otherwise don't right now. It all starts at the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus releases gonadotropin releasing hormone to the anterior pituitary, which then releases two hormones that are very, very imperatively important. The first one that we'll talk about is follicle stimulating hormone. This is the one that's responsible for spermatogenesis to occur, so you actually can be fertile. Then we also have luteinizing hormone. This is the key one. This is the one that creates testosterone. It targets the Leydig cells of the testes and secretes testosterone. And testosterone, again, will be so wonderful for so many different things, especially for spermatogenesis. Of course, the follicle stimulating hormone targets the Sertoli cells. And when you put all these things together, what you get is a recipe for either disaster or a recipe for construction. If you optimize this, man, you can get all of the benefits of testosterone. It will target your androgen receptor and you will get a bigger, better upper body. You will have a higher mood, higher vigor when it comes to life that will lead you to be more competitive and win more often. And you will have stronger bone density and you will be taller and you will have all those benefits. However, if you do not have a correct body fat percentage, you are basically castrating yourself. Essentially, what this means is that testosterone aromatizes into estradiol. And the higher levels of estradiol and testosterone you have will actually turn off your testosterone secretion through a negative feedback. This means that if you have higher levels of estradiol or testosterone, then your body will stop secreting testosterone, because for men, the most way, other than your gut microbiome, that you get estrogen is through testosterone. Aromatase is the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. If you have too much estrogen, then you will need to have less testosterone, as well as if you have too much testosterone, your body will have to turn it off if you do not have the correct baseline yet. So the actually correct body fat percentage that you should aim for as a man will be 10 to 15% body fat. At this range, you will have the perfect amount of testosterone levels as a man. Anything less, you will actually have too little cholesterol to actually convert into testosterone, because the steroid hormones, testosterone, cortisol, all the actual steroid hormones, they rely on cholesterol. If you do not have enough fat, if you have a low fat diet, you will have low testosterone. It's simple as that. And then there's temperature. Temperature is entirely important because the Sertoli cells and the Leydig cells, they only operate at a specific temperature. Well, actually most optimally operate at a specific temperature of the body. If your body is not if your testicles are not 2 to 3 degrees lower than your body temperature is 37 degrees, then you will experience less testosterone because your Leydig cells will not function correctly, and you will actually experience more sperm morphology. Sperm does not form correctly, and you will actually have, I believe it was 15 to 20% less actually viable sperm if you have heat all the time down there. So wear breathable boxers, do not put heat like laptops over top of you when you are working, and if you're in a hot environment, just try to move over to a colder environment, at least for your balls. And then we have to take into account cortisol. Now, cortisol has its benefits. However, being stressed for long term is actually not ideal for your body. You do not want to be in a sympathetic fight or flight state for very long, because it will actually end up turning off your testosterone, because cortisol is inverse to testosterone. The more cortisol you have, the less testosterone you will have, because it will compete for the cholesterol in your body, as we spoke in the body fat percentage. You need to have enough cholesterol to go around. However, another thing that a lot of people do not talk about is that cortisol can actually inhibit GnRH from actually going to the anterior pituitary, as in make it not as sensitive to GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. What that will do is make it so that your FSH and LH are not secreted correctly or as much as they usually would be, as if you weren't being as stressed. And of course, I'll quickly mention sleep, because you already know that you need to be sleeping to have good hormonal health. Just anything less than 5 hours is just terrible. Your testosterone will go down 10 to 15%. If you're not sleeping correctly, you shouldn't really be watching a video about optimizing your hormonal health. Then you have number 4. With extreme highs, there will be extreme lows. If you do not have a baseline that is high yet, you will experience these super intense highs. And then, like, let's say you have an incredible day. I'm sure you can imagine you've had an incredible day before. But then, next day, next couple days, a few days later, whatever, your day feels horrible. Something's off. Your dopamine systems feels less. You just don't feel right. This will often be, for men at least, because your testosterone has gone down because you had too much testosterone, and so your negative feedback has caused you to secrete less testosterone. As well as if you do not sleep correctly one day and you actually don't secrete as much as you usually would when you usually secrete a lot, you will actually feel it a lot more because you have high levels of testosterone naturally. Now, if you took steroids, you would not feel it. It doesn't matter as much how you sleep. I mean, other hormones are also secreted when you're sleeping, and those are also important. However, when it comes to testosterone, if you just don't sleep good one night and you are taking steroids, it really doesn't matter for your testosterone. Now, if you want to optimize your hormones and your testosterone and your human performance naturally, my system in the description below is the best system that there is. And I have so much conviction for this system, and you will get stronger, you will get jacked, you will get ripped. What other synonyms are there? Join now. Like the video, bro.